One of the most disturbing and fascinating, and when I say fascinating, I mean in like a morbid way, like you see an accident and you have to stare at it. Things that's happened in since Donald Trump got elected is the rise of QAnon. And there's an author, a journalist who did some work over justsecurity.org, bringing light to something that I think we should have been able to pick up. The fact that QAnon is essentially just regurgitating Nazi propaganda. I missed it completely, but Gregory Stanton over at Just Security did not miss it. And this is his article. QAnon is a Nazi cult rebranded. I want to bring up some quotes on your screen. He said, a secret cabal is taking over the world. They kidnap children, slaughter, and eat them to gain power from their blood. They control high positions in government, banks, international finance, the news media, and the church. They want to disarm the police. They promote homosexuality and pedophilia. They plan to mongrelize the white race so it will lose its essential power. Does this conspiracy theory sound familiar? It is. It is the same narrative that has been repackaged by QAnon. He went on to say, the plot described above was the conspiracy, quote unquote, revealed in the most influential anti-Jewish pamphlet of all time. It was called The Protocols of the Elders of Zion. It was written by Russian anti-Jewish propagandists around 1902. It collected myths about a Jewish plot to take over the world that had existed for hundreds of years. Central to its mythology was the blood libel, which claimed that Jews kidnapped and slaughtered Christian children and drained their blood to mix in the dough for matzos consumed on Jewish holidays. Forgive me for messing up that term. I don't know how I missed this, but it is so clear and it's so obvious, especially when you consider the things that QAnon ignores. I mentioned this tweet earlier in the episode, but I want to bring it up on your screen from Selth. What's Selth's last name? At Selt Brom on Twitter. She said, why do the QAnon folks never talk about the fact that in the last 5 years, there have been almost 5,000 cases of reported child sexual abuse by ICE? When you put everything together, it is a rebranded Nazi cult. And the target in this case is not just anti-Semitism and the Jewish people, because that's there to be sure. I don't want to minimize the amount of anti-Semitism that comes from the right on a regular basis. It is there and it is clear. But the primary target of this particular conspiracy theory at the end, because of the nature of our federal government and ICE and the Homeland Security detainees, the target are immigrants. And this is why QAnon, who is so obsessed with pedophilia and child sex trafficking, they have said nothing about all of the sexual abuse that has been literally reported. Why? Because they are in league with those people. They are in league with ICE. They are in league with ICE agents. They are in league with the Trump administration. And anything that is a political liability for Donald Trump is something that they will ignore. So it's not that they actually give a damn about pedophilia. They only give a damn about it to the extent that they can weaponize it to help Donald Trump. QAnon is just a rebranded Nazi cult. And the target in this case is not only Jewish people through their anti-Semitism, through QAnon's anti-Semitism, but it's immigrants. It's the detail that is who is collectively targeted and vilified and dehumanized by the federal government, by the state governments, by politicians in general. And so while they are obsessed, I mean, they really believe that they are doing the bidding of God by fighting on behalf of the children that are being molested by Democrats. They completely, with no evidence, mind you, no controversy, no proof. But they completely ignore the fact that 5,000 children have reported being sexually abused by the Trump administration's ICE, Immigration, Customs, and Enforcement. So this gives a lot more validity to this article from Just Security. I want to read one last quote from that article, this is what he said. He said, quote, QAnon pervades the fantasy that a secret Satan worshiping cabal is taking over the world. Its members kidnap white children, keep them in secret prisons run by pedophiles, slaughter and eat them to gain power from the essence of their blood. The cabal held the American presidency under the cabal held the American presidency under the Clinton and Obama administrations, nearly took power again in 2016, and lurks in a deep state financed by Jews, including George Soros, and in Jews who control the media. They want to disarm citizens and defund the police. They promote abortion, transgender rights, and homosexuality. They won't open borders so brown illegal aliens can invade America and mongrelize the white race. QAnon true believers think Donald Trump will rescue America from this satanic cabal. At the time of the storm, supporters of the cabal will be rounded up and executed. This is the derangement that we're dealing with. And people passionately believe this stuff. I mean, passionately, if you ever run into QAnon supporters, believers, I can't even call them supporters. They are believers. They are adherents to a religion. And Donald Trump coddles them and plays with them. He knows exactly what's going on. He knows that there is political capital to be gained by never disassociating himself with them. There are even some candidates who have run for office and they are QAnon adherents, believers, worshipers. They have gained political power, and they've gained political power on the backs of a Nazi conspiracy theory that is not only applied to Jewish people, but is applied to immigrants. And these, for some people who may not feel like we should worry about allies, don't worry about Jewish allies, don't worry about Latinx allies. These are the same people who believe that wearing a mask is a greater battle to fight than white supremacy. Let me make it plain. They honestly believe and equate wearing a mask to being the same as George Floyd being murdered by the police. You don't believe me? I put out a clip yesterday. Maybe I'll drop it here. I'll drop this one, the segment where they were having an anti-mask protest in Utah. And one woman literally compared George Floyd saying that he cannot breathe to her being required to wear a mask.